Okay, I'm going to wait for this to come up live. We are going to be diving into January. I'm super excited. Going to see what this month holds as far as all the energy. I can't believe it's a new year. I don't know about you guys, but I just had an incredible um, kind of like easeful end of the year and just getting right into the new year. And, I think for some, it's like this big thing in our mind of like something major is supposed to, happen. But I actually believe every single day, when we live intentionally, although it's nice to have an end of a year and a beginning of another and, shift into new energy, we have that opportunity every single day. And so, yeah, I don't know about you guys, but say hello. I want to see who's on here. Hopefully, I can see the comments because sometimes it doesn't. Oh, hi, Lauren. There's the comments. Yay. Um, I'd love to hear how all of your New Year's was. I just sent my boyfriend back home to Boise, Idaho, and so I got to spend 5 days in that loving, fun energy. So it was really incredible. I am going to start to tune into the energy of January. Hi, Rachel, my little soul sister. Um, we already had a new moon, and since I'm starting this on the 4th today, because I couldn't do it any sooner. But we're gonna uh, get in the energy of this week. But first, before that, I'm gonna just pull a card for January, and I just want to kind of channel what I'm feeling for this year and just all the things. So let me just kind of start getting into that. Excited. Yeah, this is so funny. We got this card, discontent and discontent and boredom, which cracks me up. And I'll tell you why. Because let me just write this down for the energy of January. It sounds like, oh my gosh, what is, how can we be bored when we're starting off a new year, right? So, being that this is kind of a card of the heart, and it's a card of it's a four. So four to me is always like the foundation of something. So we're, moving into this month and this new year where we're going to have, last year was a big year of recalibration, learning resiliency. This is the year that we're going to put it to work. Like all the upgrades and all the shifts that you made and all the kind of like trials and challenges that you might have gone through, we're really preparing you to be able to hold new frequencies for this year. 2022 is going to um, hold the energy of so much light. There's such an opportunity to awaken to your divine purpose, to higher heights. Um, and really, just remembering that you are the co creator of your reality. And sometimes when things don't move as quickly as we want, or we're not really sure what we want, um it's easy to get kind of disenchanted or to feel bored with the energy. And so this card is an invitation. It's an invitation all month long to go into the territory of your heart, not the ego. And that's what I love about this card, because it's not about what should I be doing. I must, do these things because it's this time of year. And it's like, let's let go of the script. Let's like let go of the script. Let go of the way things should be and step into, what feels good. Okay. And if we were talking from a divine masculine and feminine perspective, I would love for you to embrace the opportunity to start to feel in your body and then use the masculine energy to execute. So it's this invitation, like I was saying, to create a reality based on your heart, not on your head, not on the old programming, not on the past. Like, this is a year of like discovering new terrain and really, and when I say new terrain, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be doing something wildly different. But a lot of times we get so used to doing things a certain way that there's just this really beautiful, beautiful opportunity to step into doing things in a new, more embodied and enlightened way, which means we have to be connected to our consciousness, which means we have to be connected to our spirit, our soul, which is in the vicinity of our heart, not the vicinity of right here. So all month long, what I think would be really incredible is to get clear on how you want to feel for the year. You know, one of my favorite exercises is like, what are the words that you want to play in this year? You know, if you had to identify 3 words that would really define and create some expansion for you as a soul on this path, you know, of learning, what would those words be? And getting really clear that if there's a sense of feeling bored, it's just more of an opportunity to step into living more intentionally. And it's so funny because when I think of boredom, I think of distraction. You know, I think of distraction, TV, alcohol, you know, all the things that we use to numb ourselves so that we aren't in the vicinity of our heart, so that we don't have to pay attention to our feelings. And this year is going to really ask you to pay attention to your feelings. There's a massive, massive healing taking place on the planet where we're like seeing the shadow energy and the chaos. And I talk about this all the time. And that energy is here for us to feel and clear our own shadows, our own karma, so that we can be beacons of light for others. But you can only do that if you're in the territory of your heart and forging a path that is aligned for you, not one that's based on other people's expectations and thoughts of who you should be and how you should be operating. So you may find, if you're in a job that you don't like, or a relationship, or whatever the thing may be, I want you to think about living into the question of this all month long. Like, if I were to honor my heart in this blank area of my life, what would it look like to live fully from my heart, even more so than I'm already doing now? So inviting your heart into the conversation of whatever it is that you want to shift and create, okay, for the month of January. Okay, so that's the first thing. And we'll see kind of like the storyline, because there's always a story of how these cards interact and intersect and all that kind of stuff energetically. So we'll see. So for this week, so we had a new moon in Capricorn it was on the 2nd. It was on Sunday. And Capricorn is the energy of the, you know, it's like the goat. It's and it is the devil card in the tarot. So it's always this energy of not letting our distractions get in the way of being our higher selves. You know, this is a time of year where there's a lot of energy in these earth signs to like really ground in, to create, to be productive, to figure out where you want to go next. You know, that's why it's such a beautiful time of the year to set intentions and to have some power to push them forward, right? But if you're only doing it from your ego, sometimes it's not gonna fulfill you. And if anything is going to become very apparent this year, it's going to be about being deeply, deeply fulfilled as to why you're here as a soul. Because all that chaos is really there to kind of create a contrast and context, if you will. And so making sure that, yeah, you're feeling really fed and nourished, first and foremost, by yourself, being fully resourced in the divine, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, so that new moon really, really, really is about going to elevated heights. You know, what's the future, elevated future that you want to create that's really brilliant and wonderful for this year. And since we got that card of discontent, don't base it on what you did last year. Like, imagine that this is a clean slate. And I don't mean that just in like Yeah, of course, every year is a clean slate. Like, but what if somebody said to you, like, you can't go back to the past? It's no longer available to you. That operating system's no longer available. You have to move forward in new and embodied ways. And yes, it's scary. Yes, it feels risky sometimes. But we all know that's the only way we can get to the new place, right? We have to follow kind of like the map of our intuition and take aligned action, faith in action, to get to the new place that we want to go. So, okay, back to this week. And today is a matter of fact is the 11 Master Day. So we have a heightened energy. Next steps will be revealed. Oh my God. I literally pulled the same card. I always trip out when that happens. And you saw me, I was shuffling the deck for quite some time. So it's like a double whammy invitation, if you will, to sink into the heart and to get really clear. You know, for this card for this week, I'm hearing hold on. I'm literally seeing like a map in front of me, because I was just talking about, you know, a map and going to a new destination. And they're showing me, I'm going to talk from a healing kind of woo perspective for a second, of a lot of old karma and patterns dropping out of your energy field. So the invitation opportunity this particular week is, when you're meditating, to notice in your external reality where, maybe from a chakra perspective, like an energy vortex perspective, you might be holding on to things, going in the body, noticing where that resistance is, and moving it, you know, kind of stepping into your own innate abilities to heal. But what I was going to say is, there's a really incredible opportunity this week to drop a lot of energy out. I feel like this week, as much as all of us want to like get going and do things, there's a slowing down to the presence of your heart, the wisdom of your body. And when you start to come into that place, sometimes for some of us, we don't really know, you know, we might have ideas of what we want to see happen, but we don't really know how we're going to get there. And Spirit is really encouraging us to recalibrate our idea of how we move forward going here on out. And I talked about this in a special program I did last week for the end of the year. And I was talking about this unscripted life. And so the unscripted life is the surrendered life. And the invitation with the surrendered life is, you know how you want to feel, right? And you have certain things that you want. And yet, you imagine if you were to hand the divine, you know, something, and be like, I really want this. This is what I want to be working on. This is what I want. And this is how my dialogue, you know, would be. And I know this is really incredible. So I'd like this or better. Or, you know, something around this energy, but whatever you feel is of the highest. And then you detach and let go. And it takes a real deep trust and understanding that as much as we want to be in control and think we're in control, we're really not in control, except for the fact that we have our perceptions and the things that we're focusing on and all that kind of stuff. But if you could believe that from a timing perspective, that everything is happening, as long as you're not sitting on your duff, you know, like distracting your life away, that the timing is going to be perfect for you. That there's no reason to be discontent with the nature of your life, because everything is happening in such a way that is allowing you to unfold and grow organically if you are taking action. If you're hearing this and you're, you know, in the other camp where maybe you're like, God, I've been meaning to do things and I just haven't been feeling, I've been stuck and I, you know, haven't been able to move forward, then this is your invitation this week to really pull yourself out of it, to really align with your heart and go, okay, yeah, what does that look like for me? And really, really, really seeing your external reality in such a way that the things that you want to move forward on, you have like this really beautiful, it's kind of like a fluidity and a flow with it. And when things kind of feel like disruptive to your well-being, you go into a space of trusting that the disruption is leading you exactly where you need to go. Because that's the formula for life. It's not just for this week. It's more of a formula of, okay, when that thing that happens comes in my reality, instead of losing myself to the drama, we'll just call it drama or chaos, you go, oh my gosh, that's happening. How do I want to respond? How much energy do I want to give to this? And how am I going to move forward in an embodied way? So to me, this feels like a recalibration week where you're like pulling back your energy from all the places that have been draining you. You're setting some new boundaries. You're getting really clear on how you want to feel. Even if you just start with this month, how do you want to feel this month? And you're going to honor the voice and wisdom of your heart and start to take action based on your purpose and not what you're just meant to be doing on a day-to-day basis. Because the leaders are being called to lead, and you have to be able to know that you're here for a purpose, and you all are. Everybody's here for a purpose. And so it's really like sinking into that, accepting it, embracing it, and moving forward with it. And you have to have like the ability to dance with life and trust that your dance partner, which is the divine, like when there's a dip in your energy, when there's divine fluctuations, that you're going to be held in that you're supported. When the twists and turns come, you don't have to be so afraid. You don't have to be discontent necessarily. What I'm saying is the discontentment is leading you to what's more aligned. So when the discontentment comes, you allow, accept, and embrace it, just like in the gene keys when you have the shadow frequencies. You say, okay, what else is possible? And one of my favorite things to do is always be like, okay, if this is happening, like I had a little disruption this week with my ex, the girl's dad, and I was just like, okay, how do I want to react to this? How do I want to show up? Where am I going in my life? And what do I want to cultivate energetically? Because we're always vacillating of like the drama of the past and how we used to respond and how we could respond from a more high aligned way, so we don't go into discontentment. You literally say, this thing is happening, even though it doesn't feel good, because something else even better is coming my way. So the discontentment can turn into a level of peace within yourself, resiliency and strength to navigate, and come back to still waters within. Okay, so that's for the 3rd. For the 10th, let's not get the same card. Come on, guys. Help me with this. I have a friend, I don't know if she ever listens. I don't think she follows me on this. I mean, we're like really good friends, but she's the one who always says to me, I've taught about her in some of my classes, when she'll always be like, if something bad is happening, I'm always excited because I know something even more incredible is coming my way. And I just love that. I love that level of trust. And she lives a very magical and charmed life, because when you live like that, where's your frequency? If you're discontent and upset with the way things are going, and especially with the way the collective is, it'd be really easy to be discontent. That's why I said, like, we have to learn how to create our own realities within us, and be really mindful. But when you have this like kind of playful, surrendered energy, you maintain a higher frequency, which allows you to be a match to that better thing. But when you start to go into the discontentment and you start to drill down into it and be like, oh my God, this keeps happening. I'm the victim. Why does this keep happening? Guess what happens? Your frequency goes down, and then you're attracting in all this bullshit. Excuse my language. I'll probably get bleeped for that. But you attract in a bunch of BS. Because you're just at that frequency. So it's just a quick little reminder about frequency management. Okay, the 10th. I shuffled this deck really good so that I don't have that card again. Okay. Suffering in silence. This is not a bad card, actually. It looks kind of foreboding. But it's really not. Let me show it to you. Look at that card. Ooh. So, no bad cards, right? Just like I was saying. No, there's really no bad. If we could just reframe how we see everything, right? Okay, so this card, this poor gal, I mean, she's stuck up on a cliff somewhere, and she's all by herself, and she just looks miserable. I mean, come on. She's a prisoner to her thoughts. She's a prisoner to her thoughts. And her thoughts have been limiting her. She's at a high elevation, right? But because there's these clouds energetically. There's blocks. She can't really see where she's at because her thoughts have limited, or his thoughts have limited the perception of the reality. And this card, when it comes to nines, they denote completion. Like, what if this is, a really powerful week for you to say to yourself, okay, you know what? I have had that lingering belief and pattern with me for quite some time. And it's just not helping me. It's keeping me in that discontent energy. And I don't want to play there anymore. And I really want to move forward on my dreams, my visions. So how could I open myself up to stop this loop, this energy, this almost like a psychosis that keeps you? And I know for me personally, I have these thought patterns, and when I get in this, like, oh gosh, I get so frustrated when I get in these energy, not energy, but like these mental loops. This is like the mental body, you guys. This is not, we were in the heart, now we're in the mental body. And the mental body is those thoughts that, prohibit you from moving forward. So I want you to be really clear that week of the 10th of like, okay, this is the week I get to be a detective. I'm going to welcome any resistance or anything that shows up, because it's going to give me the opportunity to have the clarity to release the patterns that are going to block me from stepping into how I truly want to feel. And it's as simple as that. The other piece of this that I'm really seeing is a lot of people's third eye is really blocked right now. They're afraid to see the future. They're afraid of like what's happening, just because just all the stuff that's happening in the collective. And so a lot of people have kind of shut down their ability to see the truth. And this is the week that a lot of people, there might be some things happening in the media or the news or underground news or something where there might be some revelations, maybe some truth coming out. Always an opportunity and choice point to see things in new and more aligned ways. The messages are everywhere. The stories that we're being told to keep us numb and dumb. I mean, we need to see beyond the veil. And so this is a week too of higher truth and clarity, which means you may hear things in the collective, in the media or something like that. And I want you to ask yourself, because I don't know which way it's going to go, if it's going to be a truth or a truth or something that comes out that you're just like, what? That is not truth. How do you discern that? We all want evidence. We want evidence of how we feel, because a lot of us don't trust how we really feel. And if you're only in your mind and using that as your tool of discernment, you're going to miss the wisdom of the intuitive body and every cell in your being that's always picking up information from the quantum field. And it's not difficult when you allow yourself to come into a space of peace within to hear the truth, to hear beyond the veil. Like, have you ever stopped and listened to something and just heard it and been like, that doesn't feel true in my body. But yet everybody's saying a certain thing. So this is a week of like really using your body as a tool of discernment to see what feels true, moving beyond the, BS, which you could say is belief systems of the collective, and your own. And really using this time to become deeply aware of what feels really a resolute yes in your body of truth. And I want to give the example, and I want to remind everybody that intuition, now with quantum physics and stuff, there's ways to prove that, we're energetic beings, and we are living in a simultaneous reality, like past, present, and future all happening at one time. Like when you really go down that quantum physics rabbit hole, you start to realize there's like so much more than meets the eye, right? So much more. But yet we all want to live in this reality of like black, white, truth. Like this has been told to me, so I have to believe this, and I'm just gonna like, no, no. Use every ounce of your being to figure out what's right for you. Really pay attention, because if you're going to forge your own path this month, this year, you have to be able to trust yourself and trust your knowing, your certainty within you. Because otherwise, then you're just going to be listening to what everybody else tells you. And isn't that just what we're trying to get away from? Isn't that just the whole thing? Is like we have all this programming of our past and who we were told to be and what we were taught to believe and all these kind of things. And yet here we are as adults, these sovereign beings that are not really acting sovereign. So there's a deeper call this month, this year, especially this week of the 10th, to start to really listen and figure out what is going to create sovereignty within your being. Are you too dependent on other people's opinions of you? Or do you need validation in order to know that you need to move forward in your life? How are you still energetically like plugged into things that keep you at a very, kind of like a place of like not being able to fully grow and elevate into your brilliant future? Because you can't make a move without somebody else making it for you. And I'm not talking about like a really blatant energy. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a very subtle, nuanced energy where you're looking around like, well, what does so and so think about this? If so and so thinks this, then okay, maybe it's right. My question, what do you think about it? What is your truth? And this is a time where those belief systems and the programming needs to be eradicated as much as possible. And that's why there's karma energy, like a lot of stuff that we get to heal always at any given point. I don't want you to go looking for the wounding, by the way. Always trust that your wounds will just show up naturally. They'll show up when you're in a moment and you have to, kind of navigate it. But I want you to just think of where are those energy leaks, where you're still looking outside of yourself. You're still in that programming of like, I need this person to show me. And this is the thing, like this is the last thing I'm going to say about this energy for this week of the 10th. Is love something, we use that word love. Is love something that you can touch? Like you could touch a person you love and oh, I love this person. But love is a feeling and it's an energy and it's almost indescribable at times. And there are so many things like that. It's something that we feel, but we've come to accept that love is something that we know, we understand the currency of that. But yet there's all these other things that make us even increase our ability to be sovereign. But yet we ignore. And we look for proof. We're always looking for proof. And it's not to say that it's not amazing to have proof of something, but I'm just saying sometimes your body is the proof. Your body is the discerning tool. You have wisdom. You are connected to the quantum field. You are an emanation of the divine. So start to trust yourself. Start to trust what's coming through you and what you're meant to create and what you're meant to do and show up in your gifts and who you're meant to be. Because at what point, right? At what point will you decide that that's the most important thing? It's right now, in this day and age. That's what we've been groomed for. So there's that. Sorry, I got a little preachy. I'm on the pulpit. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so that week, let me just see. Venus is still in retrograde. We're still kind of looking at our self-worth, which is very much in alignment with what I'm talking about. If we're looking at our self-worth and our ability to love and focus on our heart expansion, we do have to let go of the mental stories that are keeping us from that. The things that tell us that we're not worthy of that. The things that tell us we're wrong. And really start to trust your truth in any way it's going to show up. Have you ever been in a relationship? This happened to me in the past. I feel talky today. I'm sorry. I had a cappuccino just a little bit before this. I had this situation, I'm sure some of you have had this, where you're in a relationship with somebody and let's just say your body feels something. You know, I'm going to use a terrible example, but it's just the truth. Women's intuition. You know, let's say you feel like one of your partners in the past, like think about your life, and you're like, I thought, you know, I know that they cheated on me. It's like a women's intuition, right? But you don't trust it. You know, you're like, no. Well, I had this happen to me, by the way. And it's so fascinating. I had dreams about it for an entire year in my whole body. But I convinced myself in my mental looping and stories, because the person was gaslighting me and not telling the truth. But I convinced myself that I must have been wrong. That my body wasn't really the fine-tuned barometer that it is, that your body is. And that's a terrible example, but it's the gosh dang truth, right? Where sometimes we just know these things, but we deny it because we're like, well, you know, because we want to live in these kind of programmed realities. We want to stay in a bright future where it's easier to kind of brush aside or you know, keep something kind of out of our, you know, our reality than to actually deal with the truth. And that's what I'm talking about. It's that truth. It's just like that. It's like that distortion in the field where you're like, something's off. Something's off in the collective, you guys. If you don't already know that, something's off. And I'm not even talking about it. I'm just using that as an example. But like, when something's off, do you go and sometimes go out and look for all the information out there? Or do you go within? Go within. That way you create your reality from the most highest aligned place. Okay. Now, 17th. Okay. So we have a full moon on the 17th. Okay. Oh my God, what is happening? This is like doubles. I feel like I'm like, I mean, and I am shuffling these cards. I just have to laugh. Oh my God. So everything I just said, take that to heart and use it for this week too. No, seriously. I'm going to see if there's any. So when we get a back-to-back like that, we're just being given a deeper opportunity to get rid of that programming, to see clearly. I want to see if there's an additional, because, you know, each week is a little bit, there's a finer nuance they're showing me. And I always talk about this, the throat chakra, speaking your truth. You know, this is the time, maybe the week of the 10th, you're like seeing beyond the veil and kind of getting an idea of what, you know, BS you're still adhering to. Then the 17th, you decide, I'm going to speak up. I'm going to change things up. I'm going to be more embodied in who I am. Maybe it's an idea that you've had that you want to take action on. Maybe you decide you want, like, I just had this recently where I was like, I want some new, like, really aligned, beautiful conscious female friendships. I have amazing, gorgeous, wonderful, incredible friendships. But I was like, I want to bring in one or two more. And so I spoke it to the universe. And it's starting to come into my life, right? But it's like, sometimes that the magic of speaking up what to what you want, and speaking a different way. So if you've worked with me, you know that I always say that words create realities. So if you're still anchored to the past, you might still be telling those old stories, right? Oh, when this happened, stop. Especially if you're still energetically triggered by it. You know the difference, right? Because your energy will totally shift when you tell a story. You get all like angry and pissy, and if you're still pissed off about a situation. But if you can tell a story and there's a purpose to it, to revisiting the past because it might benefit somebody, okay, that's a different thing. But what I want you to imagine this week is that you're really getting clarity on how you're using your channel. Think of it as like you're channeling and you're creating your reality through words. And first there were words, right? Like the spoken word. And when you speak about who you are to other people, is it loving? Are you in your self-worth? Are you like, would you speak to your best friend that way? So use this week as an opportunity to create a new reality through your words. And there's no better way to do it than speaking very much in the present. I used to do this thing when I was first starting my business. And it wasn't like, I don't necessarily, you hear that saying, fake it till you make it, all that kind of stuff. There's whatever. But what I would do in the beginning, 2013, when I first started my business, people would always say to me, how's your business going? Like, how are you doing with it? And honestly, I was just getting it going. And I was like, I'm used to, in the past, I was super successful in my other former careers, and I wasn't doing as well yet. Like, I was just getting my feet wet, trying to figure things out while I'm having babies. I had my 2 daughters in my first few years of my business. But I was really careful with how I would describe my reality. I would always say, I'm growing my business. It's growing and I'm learning and it's amazing and it's evolving as I evolve. Like, I'd always just say things that were really positive and very much the present moment. I'm creating abundance. I'm stepping into more abundance. I'm receiving more clients. I'm all these different things, because by God, I wasn't going to say to people, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really that booked yet, or I'm trying to figure out how to do this versus that, or make as much money as I did back when I was in corporate, or whatever the story was. I don't need to say that. I don't want to create my reality with that kind of stuff, right? Where in your life are you creating your reality with this old, way of describing yourself, or getting lost in the minutia of like these stories that like really just are not benefiting you? So use this week to create your reality from the present tense. I am growing. I am, if you want a relationship, let's just say, and you're single, I am attracting in amazing opportunities for myself this year. Whatever you want to say, if that's your case. If you're married, my husband, even if you and your husband are having issues, my husband and I are learning to meet each other in new ways. Like, attract to you the energy, and think about the difference. This is what I really want you to be aware of. How do you feel in your body when you say something that's more of a present term opportunity versus the past and like the heaviness? There's the difference between heaviness, and it's not like you're lying, because if you're saying we're attracting in new ways to love each other, by God, why not? So I want you to think about stepping into new divine architecture for who you are and the reality that you're creating, because this is the month to do it, right? It really is. I mean, we have such a gorgeous opportunity. we, yeah, that week, by the way, too, um, we have the full moon. And then we have on the 18th, Uranus is going to move direct. And we're going to go into a north node change into Taurus. So we're going to have a huge energy shift. And so, yeah, there's going to be a lot of beautiful, beautiful opportunities. I'm not going to go deep into that kind of astrology, but just be aware that there's going to be some, you'll feel a lot of shifts. And so in order to match the shifts that are going to be coming astrologically, upgrade your operating system, upgrade your ability to speak truth and how you describe yourself and your reality. Journal about it. Create a future map. I'm going to be creating a future map with everybody this Thursday if you want to join. Your futurometer, where it's going to take you into your future. So exciting. Okay, and then last but not least, the 24th. And this is the week that we will have Venus moving direct on the 29th. Yeah. There's a big Capricorn stellium on the 27th. That's when I want you to highlight January 27th as a beautiful day for foundational energy to create the foundation for the rest of the year. So we're gonna have Mars, Venus, Pluto, Mercury, and the Moon will all be in Capricorn over that period of time. It's going to be a period of time of 19 days. January 27th starts the cycle for 19 days. Okay, so last but not least. These cards, Spirit really wants us to do some work this month so that we have an incredible year. We got the Trapped in Fear. Another mental card, right? But this one's really about getting the keys to free yourself and liberate yourself from the internal prison that you're in, which is everything I've been talking about. It's all that energy. And it's this, and so, you've been looking at your beliefs, BS, your belief stories, systems, whatever you're using to create your reality. I told you, get in the throat chakra, look at the divine architecture, and then this is going to be the snag, like that week you'll get to see, like, where am I, like, where's that resistance, where are those places in my reality that although I'm changing how I think, what are the actual things in the material world that are still holding me back to the past? And I get a really clear message. This is a week of upgrading your reality in the material world. A material world. I'm sorry, I was singing Madonna. I just heard that song this weekend. I love that song. So in the material world, we have this it's everything, our money, our relationships, our homes, everything that's like, solid. And I want you to think about this week of what needs to be shifted, maybe up-leveled, elevated, so that you can be in your power, so that you can really create beautiful abundance and an amazing foundation for the rest of the year. And don't be, this isn't a big pressure thing, by the way. This is what Spirit's telling me right now. Like, this is more of like you'll start the process. So for some of you, it might just, like, you're in, like, if now that I see the whole month of January, I feel it's like such like a month of like cleaning things up. We're just cleaning up. Marie Kondo, whatever her name is, we're tidying up. We're getting rid of all the nasty kind of stagnant energy that we're like, I don't want to bring that into a new year. So like, you're just given this opportunity to look at it and be like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to have another year of like whatever, like a certain part of your life. So we have to get very clear. And that's what this month provides. You can see it's really, really like getting you out of the boredom, out of the discontentment, out of the suffering, out of the looping, out of the belief systems. And then this final week is movement. Get out of the freaking prison of your mind. Get out of the proverbial, metaphorical prisons of your life. Whew! When I said that right now, oh my gosh, I don't know why I just felt it like my solar plexus in my heart. Because I've been in this position, not right now in my life, but I've been there. I have felt trapped in my life before. Have you guys ever felt that where you feel trapped? You're like, oh, shoot, I have to deal with this thing, or I feel trapped by this, or I don't feel liberated. And our whole collective is feeling like this with everything that's happening. And how do you liberate yourself and come into your power when you feel the oppression from the outside in the material world? And it's an inside job. I mean, it really is. It's the inside job that's going to liberate. So you have to know what is it that you're ready to shift in your life. And I'm gonna like leave it with the Marie Kondo thing. I think that's her name. What do you need to tidy up? What do you need to get rid of? What is like creating the chaos in your life, the drama in your life, in your personal life? Let's just say, I'm not talking about the collective right now. We all know what's going, the collective energy. But what is preventing you in your personal life from feeling free? And for some of you, it might be, that job, that thing, whatever it is, your money situation, your relationship with your kid, whatever. I want you to ask yourself and really be in the question this week of like, divine, what would it look like to really shift this, to free myself from this limitation, perceived limitation, and step into the expansion that's waiting for me, even more so than I'm doing now. So what a beautiful way to end the month, but to liberate yourself and really step into more sovereignty. And that's why, we're doing all the work over the month to really get clarity on like, where do we not feel sovereign? Where are we still trapped in these prisons? And I'm going to end it with this too. I don't care where you sit, what side of the fence you're on, what political party, how you feel about the V, like all those kind of things. I really, I'm not into that, all that, and I don't mean that I don't pay attention. I just mean like, what if this whole reality right now is designed to awaken you to your highest potential and liberate you from all of the ties that bind? And what I mean by this, we have to do that for ourselves within, in some ways, so that we can create a collective that is based on that. Most people right now are in fear and don't know what to believe or what to do. That's why I said earlier in this, like, you're going to start to get clarity about what you should be doing. Because if you listen to yourself, doesn't mean you can't look to other people, but like so many people are so like, oh my God, they won't, like, they're still listening to their mommies. I was in my late 30s and I was still living my life according to my mommy, and I'm saying it kind of jokingly, but I'm being real. I was programmed to believe that I couldn't think for myself. That's how I grew up. That was what I was imprinted with. And I'm not saying I didn't make everyday decisions, but sometimes the bigger decisions in my life, I was like, well, I wonder what my mom would think. Who cares? She ain't living my life. I'm living my life. I'm the one who has to go through this. Or maybe it's your best friend, or maybe it's your boss or your partner, and you just haven't yet gotten to that sovereignty within yourself. This is the year of sovereignty that you're going to have to step into the majesty of your being. Because if you don't, you're going to get lost. You'll get lost because the energy is going to be beautiful. There's going to be so many amazing things, just like there is every year. But we're going through a time of massive, massive shifts in consciousness on this planet, and battles between dark and light, and expansion and constriction. It's happening. And if anything, there's a pull to, to get it. So it would be so easy to get lost in this. So wherever you're at, I never tell anybody how to think. That's not my, I'm just suggesting like what you could do to have the sovereignty wherever you stand without judging other people, by the way. Without judging other people for their political viewpoints or this or that. Like, when did we lose sight that for the most part, all of us want the same thing? We all want the same things. We all want people to be healthy, happy, to live out their lives and be passionate and joyful, for our children, our legacy, our planet to be thriving, all that, right? So we got to get back to that. You got to get back to that within yourself so that you can create it in the external reality. Because each one of you is co-creating a reality. Whether it's like dark, dim, bright, or brilliant is up to you. You know, it's really up to you. You have the power. And I know that sounds crazy when we live in a reality where we've been taught that our power is not ours. It's based on enough, you know, somebody outside of us. And I'm not saying we live in, I mean, I'm American, best country. I love this country. I love it. I love it. And we have more power and more sovereignty in this country than most people around the world. And yet, there's a new way that we can be. There's new energy that's streaming in. There's new opportunities. But it all starts with us. It all starts with our own individual journey and how we lead others through how we lead ourselves. So it's going to be a powerful, powerful, fun, incredible month to get clarity and to tidy up and get really clear on how you want to just proceed. And every month, you know, if anything, every month you're going to always have these opportunities to like reconnect to your words or the things that you want. But I always think that this month is just it's a fun way to create a foundation and still to move slow, you know. I mean, it's still the time of the year, depending on where we're, you know, we're in the United States, it's winter, you know, so it's a season still of quiet and not having to move a million miles an hour, and just honor where your body's at so that you can receive all your intuition and truth. I hope that helps. It was so fun getting to hang out with you guys. Oh, I get to see everybody. I just saw everybody who's on here. I have beautiful Forrest and Mindy and Cynthia. So anyways, I hope you guys are able to hear, because it said at one point that Rachel, you said you couldn't hear me, I think. So hopefully you were able to hear me the whole time. But anyway, so much love to you guys. So much love, and I will see you. I do want to say this really quick. I am going to be opening enrollment for my mastermind that's going to be starting next month. I'm so excited. Everything I've been talking about being fully sourced within yourself so you can navigate and live a life where you have resiliency to create your limitless life. Because if you don't have resiliency and certainty in your own being, it's going to be hard it'll just be more challenging. So the women I'm calling forth to come work with me this year are the ones that really want to trust their intuition, trust the strength within them, have that resiliency so they can co-create with the divine and feel that they're receiving their best life. And you're going to do it with a group, an intimate group of other women who are very like-minded. And so I'm excited. I'm really excited. So if you're just curious about it and you want to hop on a call with me, message me and we'll chat about it. I have some incredible things planned for it, and you get all my teachings and all these things with it. So it's going to be really fun. I am more on fire than I have been in years. I'm really excited. I last year was my year of healing. I had to heal from my ending of my time with my former, or the girl's father, and you know, tended to my heart, which was really powerful, because I needed to do that so I can help tend to other hearts, you know, and really practice what I preach, which is being present and really listening to the medicine of our heart and my body. All my body wanted to do for an entire year was grieve in some ways, let go, play, have joy, go slow, be present. And of course I still worked, but I didn't hold space in the ways that I'm ready to hold space now. And so we always have to listen, right? Because every year is going to be so different. And it's funny because last year, if I look at my to-do list of all the things, I actually stated here, I adhered to my feelings of what I wanted to feel for the most part, but I didn't get everything done. So this year is like it's kind of like to be continued. Like I never see it as like, oh, I failed at that. It's like, well, no, God, there was something more powerful at work, maybe in your life than you had expected, right? So trusting that, just trusting where you're at, trusting what wants to come through you and be channeled through you this year, and making it your best yet. Because every year you're growing and evolving, so how can it not be better? Especially if you're loving yourself more. Anyways, I love you guys, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye.